Ready? Here we go. Good evening. I'm happy to say Monday's almost done here in the United States. A little later in the day for me. Well, I'd like to welcome everyone. Listen, I'm just going to get right into it because we got a hella bunch to cover today. Most of them are brief, so I don't want you to get you too excited. These are not deep dives. This is an update. So I can give you more detailed deep dives on some of them as we go along. Hit the back of the comment section on the videos. Tell me what you're looking for, and I'd be happy to accommodate. Well, for this one, this is going to be an update on 5 separate cases. The first one that I think needs to be covered right away would be, let's go right to Sarah Boone. Okay, hold on. Let me get this up for you here. Sarah Boone, as you all know, is being charged with the murder of Jorge Torres Jr., who was her partner. And they were married. There was some domestic abuse charges back and forth. This is quite the case. We call this the suitcase killer case. Okay, apparently he suffocated and had some other injuries while being trapped inside a suitcase, to which Sarah says he got there because they were playing hide and seek while they were intoxicated from drinking wine together the night before, that it was a game they played. Unfortunately for Sarah, on her own phone during the investigation, they found video of her sitting on the couch, taunting him, saying that's what he gets for treating her so bad. This is how it goes. This is how it plays out. How does it feel? Laughing, giggling. She says she got tired, went upstairs, went to bed, and was shocked to find him still in the suitcase in the morning. Now, it should be noted that the suitcase was turned upside down with the zipper on the ground. So it's not like he could have got out, that he was on the video asking her to let him out, that he was having trouble breathing. All of this was in very long interrogations exposed to her. She's been acting a little bit weird. There's a lot of body cam footage of the officers and the investigators and even the coroner who came onto the scene at the time. This is a Florida case, I believe. I don't want to get this wrong. Yes, Florida. There's plenty of video out there that I've shared in the previous video, in the previous updates that we've done on her. Okay. But this pretrial conference and everything actually showed uh, evidence that there's definitely going to be enough here to go to trial. Okay, because during that pretrial that happened in January, um, you know, they actually were saying that they weren't ready. Okay. Next week, we're going to actually go before the judge with the evidence, pretrial conference, to make sure that there's enough evidence to actually try her. I can't see where there's not. I don't know what you guys think, but we've been covering this for a while now, so you know everything that's out there. You've seen the video of from Instagram and TikTok where he is calling out to her. It's all over social media, as well as her interview with the officers when she was at the station, and also the body cam footage in of I believe it was CSI, like the coroners they were going to pronounce. It was the medical examiner who came, who was questioning her and talking, and some of the weird way that she was acting. There was also a little bit of conversation with a neighbor who was also an ex-husband, who was also her confidant. um yeah, there was plenty going on here. Basically, most of the evidence is just Sarah Boone herself. Well, this has been several years coming. Okay, we've been waiting. Remember, we everything got backlogged because of the pandemic. Everything's way behind. Plus, there was just a bunch of stuff going back and on. The legal process is slow to begin with. It doesn't need any monkey wrenches thrown into it to make it even worse, but it did. It did. But Boone is being charged. Okay. This happened back in February of 2020. That's when Boone herself is the one who called authorities from their Winter Park home and told the dispatcher straight out that her boyfriend was dead. Yep, said it right out. Said she claimed they had been drinking the night before, as I stated, and agreed it would be funny if he got into the suitcase. They were playing a game of hide and seek. All of that is in the arrest affidavit from the sheriff's office, which was also shared. If you go back, there's a links below to the actual playlist for all the prior episodes. Okay. But the news on her is that we're definitely going to have the pretrial next week. We're only a week away. They're going to be laying out all the evidence. It starts in just a few weeks. In it's supposed to open the April 10th. April 10th is now the expected trial date. Okay. Um, you remember that Sarah Boone also is on her sixth lawyer, who did in January say that he did have some late COVID effects and he was suffering and did get some extra time. They were supposed to start at the end of last year and then the beginning of the year, and they did get some extra time. The judge agreed. It just really wasn't advisable to go forward without meeting with her. If you remember, Sarah Boone has been writing to everyone, or especially to her attorney and to the judge, to state that she's been treated unfairly, that she is being biased against, that she hasn't met with her attorneys often enough, that they're trying to not put forth a good defense for her. She actually did not want this last one replaced. She didn't ask for him to be turned away, and he didn't. Uh, get turned away. The judge kept him in place, gave him a little bit more time, and they're going to go forward. She also of note, this will, just bring it to a head here. Sarah Boone's going to claim battered spouse defense, which could be a problem for them. I mean, it was obviously a tumultuous relationship. There are plenty of filings in Orange County and other places they live, that there has been some domestic violence of some nature there. However, the most incriminating piece of evidence isn't really against Mr. Torres, the deceased. It's actually against Sarah Boone, because in one filing that we did read the records on, I believe about 2 months ago, we showed those arrest records to where the officer stated that based on the evidence of what he saw in the statements of both, based on the injuries that both had, it was quite clear that this serious aggressor was Sarah Boone, that she had tried to really hurt him, and that he was in some way trying to defend himself by pushing her back. Um, and even her own statement pretty much uh, alluded to the same. But that's down in writing on a prior effect for this. And so the fact that she's going through with, uh, you know, the battered spouse syndrome, it's interesting because he's not here to defend himself. We're going to have to go by the records in whatever calls and documentation they have through the reports, through the police stations, and through perhaps others that may have witnessed it. It could get quite interesting because there doesn't seem, they both denied, refused, rather, not denied, refused to get medical treatment for most of these incidences that happened. So there's not going to be a lot of documentation. It's going to be a he said, she said, only he's not here to defend himself. So she's not, based on the amount of writing that she's been doing in hold on 1 second. This is hmm. Always, you're cracking me up. I'm losing my place. Because I got to put this up. She has written more pages than War and Peace with all her letters. Yes, she has. And we're going to talk about your other favorite letter writer later on in this episode. But I want to thank everybody who's coming in. I'm trying not to get off track and start typing in the chat, but I do appreciate that you're all here. And thank you to my moderators. Hey, I just want to take a shout out to Student because I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're well, dude. Um, I'm just doing an update tonight, but I'll catch you up anytime you want. Hit me up, dude, on any of the cases. Okay. Hey, Beck. All right. So now, does anybody have any questions about Sarah Boone? Because I have another interesting one I want to get to like pretty quickly. Let's see. Wait. His injuries far outweighed hers. That's true. She said she has pics of the abuse on her phone. Did they find any? Not that we saw, Beck. I'm sure that would have been talked about because everything about this case, she's really not liked well in the media, even though she really hasn't done anything but sat in jail for 3 years. She really has. She's just been sitting there writing letters to the judge, being kind of weird. And she's gone through 6 defense attorneys. Seriously. Yep. Mm-hmm. And but I do not believe we have seen anything. But then again, that would have had to come out through public relations with her, through her attorneys or whatever, to argue in the press. And based on the amount of attorneys that she has like fired and got rid of or quit or this, that, or the other thing, I could see why we may not have seen them if they had any. Okay, but her attorney does seem to be on the ball. So hopefully next week we're going to hear about that, Beck. So let's keep our ears to the ground on that one, and I'll check it out for you. But I have not seen a single stitch of evidence in her defense. I've seen some terrible video and some pleading from the victim. Which is like why in the media she's being tried so harshly. Like that's the part that's out there. So there we go. All right. Mhm. And always is backing me up here, Beck. See this? Like this woman keeps incredible notes, incredible notes. So there you go. It doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means they may not be released. Very good answer. You know, you know. Thank you, everyone coming in. Okay, let's just. All right. If you don't have any questions, or if I didn't cover something you have in regards to it, just hit me up on the back of the video. Okay, and I will definitely get you more answers. But I'm going to move on now to another case that is really intriguing me. Okay, you guys may Let me just switch over my documents here. Madeleine McCann. Now, Madeleine McCann, this is a very, very old case. Okay. Um, little little Madeleine McCann um is a British missing person, and she disappeared from her bed with her siblings while on holiday with her parents in Portugal. And that happened on May 3rd in 2007. Okay. Little Madeleine McCann would be 19 years old at this time. She disappeared at the age of 3. This was one of the most heavily reported missing persons case in modern history, according to all of the papers in the Telegraph, the UK, like all over the world. It's international. She was a British citizen on vacation, disappeared. Currently, her whereabouts remain unknown, although German prosecutors believe, based on evidence they saw in the beginning, that she may be dead. Apparently, there was some kind of well, that there was some evidence that perhaps the body was disposed, that it was an awful scenario of being kidnapped for disgusting purposes and then the body disposed of. All right. When she was on holiday at the time, her parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, and her 2-year-old twin siblings. Now, she was in the bed with her two twin siblings. And when the mother went about 10 o'clock that night to check on her, the door was open and so was the window. And Madeleine was gone, but the twins were still there. Okay. It's been an incredible story. There's been lots of stuff that come forward. But what we're going to talk about now, last time we talked about it, German prosecutors believed that they were going to put charges on someone. They believed that there was someone who was acting suspicious at the time. They had his name and they were going to go forward with that. Nothing really has come forward with that. I mean, Scotland Yard still has Operation Grange open, that they opened in 2011. They said that they were treating the disappearance no longer that she was possibly dead, but that it was a criminal act by a stranger. They do believe she may be missing, but it was definitely a criminal act. More likely a planned abduction gone wrong, in that Madeleine still may not be around, but this definitely was an unsolved that needed to be addressed. In 2020, um, in Germany again, um, uh, they stated there was a new suspect in Madeleine's disappearance, whom that public prosecutor, Hans Christian Walters, was convinced had abducted and murdered the child. And we haven't heard anything else of it since. Okay. But what the reason we're talking about it today is that there is a young woman by the name of Julie Wendell, who also goes by the name, the last name of, it could also be listed as Fatia. Okay, several different names and several different spellings, even of the last name Wendell. But Julia believes that she is Madeleine McCann. Now, unfortunately for Julia, well, two positive things happened. Jerry and Kate McCann did agree to do DNA testing for Julia Wendell, that if she believed that she was her, they want some answers. They put, there's going to be money put aside. They're going to do DNA testing. They're definitely going to have the DNA testing. Miss Fatia is actually all over Instagram. It's huge everywhere. But unfortunately for her, based on all of the imagery that she has listed, um, Swiss AI company AvaX has come out, and Christian Farin is actually the owner of that company. And he said, based on their AvaX AI diagnosis of all the photographs and all the age projection, they are 90% sure Julia Wendell cannot be Madeleine McCann. Now, they do have some similarities. They both have the same eye disorder that Julia Wendell is using to say, this is why I think I am her. Also, there was a private investigator, a doctor, who this who has been working with this Polish woman, Julia Wendell, for a while, and does believe that Julia Wendell was abused as a child and that there is something here, because when she went and looked for her childhood records, there was nothing in the town where she lives for the first 5 years. Like, they can't find any documentation on Julia Wendell. They do believe, however, she may be a child of abduction, that she was kidnapped and abused as a young child, and that is why she has these similarities. Like, unfortunately, that would be very similar to the Madeleine McCann case, but it does not make her Madeleine McCann. Now, we are still waiting for the DNA testing. Um, and it's just they do look like they could be related. And I can understand the similarities why Julia Wendell, especially with dealing with the trauma that she's dealing, um, that she feels this. But people have come forward, and including investigators and doctors themselves, who have said that the eye defect is not exactly the same. And I can see that Always Grateful is probably going to be any second now putting that in the chat too, because there are some differences. But as a layperson, you can understand why Julia Wendell, with all of these similarities that she feels, could be the same. She's posting documents that are apparently physical similarities between herself and Madeline. And when they talk about the eye thing, they're talking about a distinctive little brown smudge on both girls' right irises. Um, it did, Crazy Cats. Thank you very much. It caught my attention. Yes, it did. But the distinctive brown smudge on both girls' eyes, they're saying that's not. They have similar eyes, shape of face, ears, lips. They have the same gap between their teeth. I actually don't think their eyes are that much of a similar shape. And I see some startling differences, but that's just because I'm looking to try to uh I'm gonna go with the aging and the facial recognition. If they say 90% is a huge number, would you not agree? um I um, Janae, I do think that I'm gonna, let me put your comment up. Hold on one second. Let me get back over here. Julia shared a pic of her mother. Hard to mistake them as anything but mother and daughter. I agree. So this whole thing about her being like adopted and abducted and everything, it's hard to mistake them as anything but mother and daughter. Agree that Julia's trauma has impacted her greatly, but I don't believe she is Madeline. And I actually don't either. I'm kind of with you on that one. But it's gonna tell, because the DNA is going to come in, okay, and they're uh, uh, definitely going to be able to tell from that. I mean, that would have to be at 90%. Yes, 90% that it's not her, just based on AI facial recognition and age progressing. That this company is known for. This guy comes out and he's like, please save your money. You don't need a DNA test. I don't want to break your heart, but there's nothing here. Like, move on. Like, we really need to find her or the killer. Okay. And I really do hope that the family does get closure. I too, Mrs. Cassandra. I hear you. And Crazy Kid, yes, that Swiss company is leading. I looked into the company. They are a leading expert in such matters of AI detection and such. And I kind of, if he came out and he made a press release about it to back up his standings, and he's putting his company's, listen, if it's not true, if that DNA test comes back to say that it is her, his company's over. Like, he came out and said 90%, I'll back everything up. He's really coming out strong on it. There'd be a serious issue for the value of his company in reputation should it come the other way. So I don't think he would have risked that if he was not really, really sure. The DNA testing will close the door. Absolutely, Mark. And the family once knows they don't like anything out here like this with these kind of answers. They want every possible angle to be investigated and to be checked. If somebody says that, like, they put up the money for the DNA testing to get it done. This woman was in Poland, um, and she wasn't going to be able to afford it herself, I guess. But the other thing is, I want you to be a little bit leery, because one thing did catch my attention. Now, I understand that Julia Wendell has had some trauma, and I do not want to speak ill of anyone that has any kind of issues. But they're also, through Instagram and the social media, putting out health concerns of hers and things like that, in that she may be suffering from leukemia, that her blood testing had come back not so great when they were testing some things. And I just want everybody to be a little bit leery. This has been a big social media push by Julia Wendell and the investigator. They are all over every platform. And I am hoping I don't start to see like a whole bunch of fundraisers coming up. At least not until after the DNA. Um, People, I understand people wanting answers. This is a huge case. This would not be the first time somebody came forward and then ran all kinds of fundraisers afterwards. And I'm just being a little leery here because I'm jaded. I get it. I want to be hopeful. I want Madeleine McCann's parents to get an answer. I want them to be able to put this to rest. And if Madeleine McCann is out there and she's 19 years old, I want her returned home to her parents. If she, I want her to know who she is. I want all those questions answered. I want the family to stop suffering. I really do. But I also am fully aware of how the world has been lately and that people aren't so good. And I'm not saying Julia Wendell isn't good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's be a little leery and keep our eyes open for what's going on. And I'll be watching for the DNA release. I'm wondering if that will make as big a splash as her claims did. Her claims are everywhere. She's all over every platform. When the DNA comes back, I want to see just as big a splash because Madeleine McCann deserves that. Okay. Um, let's see. For the okay, in the report I read, an investigator looking into it said he's sure it's not Madeline, but believes Julia was attacked as a child. Exactly, crazy. That's what they're saying. That because there was 5 years that they cannot actually identify the beginning of Julia Wendell's life, even under any of the names, okay, they cannot actually find the first 5 years records of her existence. They do believe based on her recollections and based on statements and some things that she was attacked as a child, that she was trafficked. She was stolen from her original family and trafficked as a child. And that could be where this belief about Madeleine McCann is. I could see that she would be associating this. Um, and I can understand and I really feel for her. I want her to be healed also. I really do. I really want everyone to find the answers here. Yeah, you know what, Anakai, I get it. I'm more jaded than I've ever been in my life, actually, and it happened over the last year, actually, and it's happened through trial research, actually. Some of the things that I've seen, you know me, I wear rose-colored glasses most of the time. I want to look through those rose-colored glasses at a world that I want it to be, and I want to live in that world. So I usually operate that way. But there's something about this one that's really got me being very guarded. Let's just say I'm just being very guarded about it. I don't think that the founder of Ava X would put his reputation online this way, and his company. They are cutting edge, like top notch. I don't think they would. Okay. And I'm just hoping that the family can get an answer on it when the DNA comes back and they can close the door on at least this part, and that there'll be no more, back and forth. And that Julia gets the help that she needs to actually come to terms with the beginning of her life and what may have happened to her also. In Yes Record, this was all over Australia and New Zealand for the longest time. That's how I became familiar with it through some reporting through there. Not here in the United States. It was actually through British papers and through an Australian article that was sent to me by a friend. Yep. Yes. Always I see. Yep, there's a Netflix. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Mipit. Mipit wants to remind us all that there's a Netflix documentary about it that you can check out. And I'll put that on. If I can find the name of it, I'll put it on my community tab for you guys or add it to the description. I don't recall the name of it at this moment. There was a lot of research to do. I might have missed that one. Mhm. They have cleared both the parents, Anna, from what I can tell. They extensively blamed the parents for very long. And another interesting part about this case is that the parents actually won suits in the UK, especially in British, against the newspapers. They were actually given retribution and money for being slandered so much in the papers as having anything to do with their daughter's kidnapping. It took a long time. They went through hell. The media destroyed this family. How you could actually have a child missing and have people just at you saying the most horrible things and accusations. Their life was upside down. Well, there was recourse for them, and I'm happy to report on it. One of the articles that I have downstairs, actually in the Wikipedia that I put down there, it will refer to the law and everything that protected them and what happened and how they actually got their got their it's not going to make it any better for them, but there was actually recourse. They did get some accountability. They did get an apology from the media in regards to it, and I'm glad that that happened. Yep, just like the Ramseys, Mrs. Cassandra. And thank you, Always Createful. The Netflix documentary is called The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Okay, McCann, rather. Thank you, Mark Caesar, both of you. Cookies for you both. Thank you. Thank you very much. And cookies and coffee. Have an extra cup on me. Okay. Very much like the Chamberlain family, also in Australia. Thank you, student. Yes, yes. It's horrible the way some people are treated in the media. And I've been speaking on this a lot, not only for the families of missing children, but I've been speaking on it in other cases where people are weaponizing social media and the legal system against people before they are proven guilty, before they're even on trial, before any evidence is even out. They are just ruining people's lives. Thank you, Ann Chair. I am just flabbergasted, actually, at how they can get away with this. Here in America, we used to have laws against misinformation and journalistic and having social impact this way, especially with mass media. There was more controls, but that all got rolled back. And I gotta say, as much as I'm not all for over regulating anything, I gotta say it was a bad move because look at the crap we got now. Anybody can say anything, any damn thing, and actually represent themselves as a journalist or a news person or a top of a big periodical, a big what we would call newspaper, supposed to be keeping us informed. We call the news like to know what's going on, right? We want to watch the news to see what's really happening, not some slanted view of bull crappy that somebody's just decided to put out there. All right, but I digress. I'm not going to soapbox anymore about that. But there are at least laws, Anche, in England that are actually protecting people from it, and I'm glad that the McCanns did get some benefit to those laws for them. But on that, I'm going to bring up another very, very sad case for me. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm still got to talk about why is no one doing anything for Shanquella Robinson's family. Now, we've talked about Shanquella Robinson when it first hit the papers in October of 2022. It first hit the media. Okay. She died while on vacation in Mexico with 6 of her friends. Her friends told her parents, her mother, uh, her mother's name is Salamandra. Okay, Salamandra Robinson, that she died of alcohol poisoning. There is a call registered with the concierge of this uh, luxury hotel, Vista, that they were staying at, villa rather. That they needed help because their friend was possibly drank too much and had alcohol poisoning. Lo and behold, though, surfaced a video, okay, that was circulating around social media of Shanquella being kicked in the head and beat up in a hotel room. Also, somewhere else in the villa. Mhm. Um, Mexican police did an autopsy. They ordered one. And she did not die of alcohol poisoning. She had an injury to her head, a head injury, and she died of a broken neck. All right, there is video of an altercation with her friends, with people in the party she traveled with. Okay, one other note that the concierge reports in an affidavit to the Mexican police that although they asked for help for their friend, they did all go out to dinner. And then they never really reported back to the concierge they were checking out, and they went to the airport after dinner and left the country, where they've been here in the United States now the whole time. Now, it has been reported that the Mexican authorities have actually issued a warrant for arrest for one member of that party. The name is said not to have been released, although I did see it in a Court TV article, and that is listed below, but I won't say it because I'm not sure. And you know me, if I can't dot the I and cross the T and I didn't see it 3 times somewhere, it ain't true. I ain't doing it. Okay. But it is the person that they do believe to be identified in the video. I'll go that far. Okay. That they say that someone was identified in the video, and that person could be the one that the warrant was. Yep. She basically y- and thank you so much. Always you and your notes, like girl, you are like the best person to have around for these. She had an AOD, which is basically an internal decapitation, in basically the severing that happened in her neck. Not only just a broken neck, but pretty much severe enough that it actually separated. Okay. Mm, okay. I know, okay, I'm not trying to get you upset, but you know how these things go. It's just the reason we're talking about it today is that recently, uh, uh, Salamandra Robinson, Shanquilla's mother, actually wrote to uh, the White House, to Biden, to the authorities, to everyone, okay, saying something needs to be done. It's 5 months. That arrest warrant has not been served on the person. No coexisting investigation between the United States and Mexico is going on. There is a wrongful death that happened to an American citizen in Mexico, Shanquella Robinson. Okay. Everybody knows about it. It was all over social media. Nothing is happening. Her family is devastated. Her mother wants answers. You know, recently we just saw that there was a whole bunch of other tourists in Mexico that were kidnapped, and several of them died, beaten up, all of that made the news everywhere. Whole big investigation going on there. Why not for Shanquella Robinson? She died. Yes, she died at a fancier resort while on vacation. All of her other friends made it back, and her friends say it was alcohol poisoning. But you've got a coroner's report and an autopsy that says otherwise. You have an arrest warrant, and no one's doing anything. It's almost like the squeaky wheel, you know, oh, the one who shouts the loudest is going to get it. I really feel for her family. They must be at a loss. They don't have the ways or the means to get this taken care of. And it's like, if you don't get out there with a big drum or like a whole bunch of money, you don't get hurt. And that makes me very sad. It makes me rage. Fills me with disgust when justice is prevented for those kind of reasons. Shanquella Robinson's matters just as much as you, I, and every other American citizen. She died on other soil. We should be checking it out. The other country, Mexico, has enough evidence there to make us want to check it out. Can somebody explain to me why the heck we're not? Why? Why are we not extraditing the named person in the warrant? Why are we not escorting them over there to answer questions? I do believe everybody's got a right to process, but that's the process. Go answer the questions. This is unbelievable to me that the family has to write letters to the government and plead and plead and plead. My heart breaks for her. And nobody's talking about it. If you search her name, there's not much. Until something like a letter to the White House happens, no one's talking about it. And it's unfortunate. I know. Not rich enough, Beck. I agree. I do. Yep. Good night, student. And thank you for coming by. Please keep in touch. I want to hear from you, dude. I want to hear what's going on. I know. Just the statements alone from the concierge at the villa are enough to actually get an indictment. Wouldn't you say, always grateful? We've seen people go down in the United States for less. She's gorgeous, Aunt Chair, and she was young and vibrant and beautiful. Um, and it is. I don't know the backstory here. There was some dissent between her and one or two members of the party. We'll never know the story unless they come forward. And but it is, and it's just definitely very, very sad for me to even have to speak about it again and not have enough information to tell you everything that's going on. Only that the family, her mother is writing that letter. The family is doing what they can. It's not getting the media coverage that it should. This is a Charlotte, North Carolina, an American citizen out of Charlotte, North Carolina, dies in Mexico. And it is considered by not an accident or any natural means. Okay. They were drinking, Anna. We don't know if there was drugs. Okay. Um, the concierge is the one who gave the name of the accused always. I wasn't aware of that, but that's why I'm not reporting on it. It's not been double, triple verified. I just can't. I do know it's a member of the party. That much everybody has agreed upon. That much almost everyone is reporting on, but the actual name they're not putting out there. They did also say that it was the person identified in the video. The family is actually asking for everyone in the party to be extradited to Mexico to answer questions. Now, I don't know if that's legally possible. There's not a warrant. I don't see why they should be extradited, but they should have some type of facilitating vehicle, investigative vehicle here in the United States so that they can answer the questions of the Mexican authorities. They should be able to travel here to our country and have them in a court, not a court, but in a police station or a jurisdiction in Charlotte, North Carolina, and them all answering questions. They can be represented by their lawyers just like they would if it was American court, okay, and answer questions of the investigators. We should be investigating ourselves here. Okay. That autopsy was done on October 30th, several days after she died. They've known for quite some time. Okay. They have known, a medical examiner has issued that report, and they have known. Okay. The video came out in the end of October, also the beginning of November, that showed Robinson being slammed to the floor by someone in the resort hotel room. An arrest warrant was issued for one of the friends. Okay. But nothing has happened. The letter that Mrs. Robinson had sent uh, to the White House, who was sent by civil rights attorneys Ben Crump and Sue Ann Robinson, who are now on it. Like, she got civil rights attorneys, and I hope they keep pushing it, because this does look like a clear violation of how we treat our own. This is like, why are you not doing anything? Like it's just horrible. It's horrible. The letter that went was 18 pages in length. It was helped by some statements from the civil rights attorneys. It included the medical examiner's autopsy report and statements from the concierge, okay, and everything that they have on it, plus the pleadings of the family on and on. They want answers, you know. You know, the scope of this case, okay, diplomatic intervention could help find the answers that are necessary and give this family some peace. Because right now, everyone involved is here just living their lives like nothing happened. But Shanquella Robinson is gone, and she didn't die by her own hands or some accident. If it was an accident, then those that witness this should come and give statements as to what happened. But they're not. The accused need to be tried under appropriate legal systems or at least answer questions. Okay. Extradition for the warrant should be possible. International cooperation is absolutely necessary. We have the means to do it. It should be fostered and coveted in this situation and not ignored. I don't know what the holdup is. I just don't know. I know. I know. In that letter, there was plenty going on in regards to the statements. In the 18-page letter, they mentioned the cell phone video of the physical fight. Okay. They see that it was someone violently beating a naked Robinson. Okay. Shanquella not fighting back. Okay. Maybe that's why they're saying that she was drunk when she wasn't fighting back. But her death was not from alcohol intoxication. It was from a broken neck. Okay. Authorities did release, issued a warrant. Okay. Of femicide. Remember, we talked about that because they used the term femicide. Okay. Um, and which is even a stronger than murder. It's murder like for a purpose intent of a in femicide being, against women intentionally. Okay. And it is actually a really strong law in Mexican, and it's got concurrent jurisdiction to allow US prosecutors to try the case also. The letter did include the transcript from the concierge at the resort. Okay. And in that transcript, they described Jackson asking them to call a doctor because their friend had alcohol poison. Jackson being the last name of one of the friends. The concierge is insinuating that they were manipulated by the guests and of the friends of Shanquella Robinson in regards to information that was provided to them about what happened. And then they actually left the country as soon as possible. And they find that also very suspicious. And so should all of us. And so should investigators. Mhm. Anyway, they did ask for the next legal steps to happen because someone needs to be arrested and they need justice for the family and Shanquella. She deserves it because it's been 5 months already. And everybody's just out here living their life like nothing happened. And that has to be so upsetting for the family. You know, I just I just can't even. I just can't even with this one. Really. Thank you so much, Anike. Thank you for amplifying the voices of those who struggle to be heard when they truly and desperately need to be heard. I appreciate that. Thank you much. I will definitely put this to my new computer fund. I appreciate you greatly, and thank you for being here. I have missed you. I have. And we often speak on those voices. You yourself, I see, do it all the time. And you have commented several times, brought to me a case that needed it. You may have even brought me this one, if I recall, in the beginning. I know it was someone from Depp Heard who definitely did. Yes, the new computer phone, Anike. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Yep. Yeah. Always says they even asked the concierge to recommend a restaurant the next night and to arrange for a car, and the concierge found out they went to the airport. Exactly. Like immediately, without even telling them they were checking out and getting things ready. Anna, these people are back in America, right there in North Carolina. They all went home to their happy little houses. They all went to vacation together. They left Shanquella Robinson dead there. They came back and they're carrying on in the same town in their lives, and the family just wants answers. They just want answers. The only thing that the friends said to the mother was that Shanquella Robinson died of alcohol poisoning. And that is contrary to the autopsy results. And she just wants to know why. No. Okay, thank you, Anike. Well, whoever it was, I'm grateful for it because it needed to be talked about. Definitely. It is just crazy, and I agree. I definitely agree. Okay. Uh, Believe it or not, I have even more. As if that's not enough. If you have questions in regards to this that I haven't addressed or that I didn't pick up in the chat, if you put it there, please feel free to put it on the back of the video in the comment section. I answer everything that I can. Okay, I will look for whatever you need and try to answer it to the best of my ability. I don't know if she paid for most of the trip. Always Grateful is asking if Shanquella paid for most of the trip. No, I do believe that they were all sharing it, but I do believe that she did. There was some talk that she had more money than some of them. She was very successful. She's a beautiful girl. I believe she was a hairdresser, maybe. She owned her own beauty salon, if I'm not mistaken, but I will check that out and put it on, if not on my community tab, then definitely in the description or on the back of the video in the comment section. But that's a very good question. Let me just find out. I hope that that didn't have anything to do with it, but there was some kind of discord going on between her and two of the girls. Something about a sister and a boyfriend. I'm not sure. One of the friends' sister's boyfriend. Oh, she was a fashion designer, right? The fashion designer. I do remember that. She's beautiful, no doubt about it. This is a beautiful young woman who is gone way too soon. Way too soon. Young, and her family deserves answers, and she deserves justice. Let me just put this up here as I get the rest of the documents up. I've linked as much as I can down below on some of these cases for you guys. The next one's going to take a little bit. We got another one of your favorite letter writers, Always Grateful. Can you guess who we're going to talk about next before I put the picture up? I wonder if you'll know just from me saying that. She does deserve so much more than that, Janae. I agree. She deserves to still be here. She does. Okay, so the next. Hello, CF. Hello, CF Beauty. Thank you for stopping in. All right. I won't keep you in suspense always. I'm just let you know. Leticia Stauch, our favorite crazy person. Not a favorite of mine. I know. Listen, she wrote the judge. She wrote everybody. She just like, she's not getting a fair shake. She don't like the food. She don't like anything. Okay. She tried to get all of the evidence withheld. She tried to represent herself. She, her stepson deserves justice. But this one, this woman, jury selection began today. Okay. They did jury selection today for the murder trial. The judge, it's in El Paso County. Okay. She's the stepmother of Gannon Stauch. and she is being accused of shooting, stabbing, and beating him, and improper disposal of his body, amongst other things. Obstruction in regards to evidence, I believe. You know, I'm sorry, Anakai. He is no longer. And I do want to show the victims of these things because they are the voices that we're speaking for right now. They are the ones we want justice for. We want Leticia Stauch to get a fair trial. I want just justice to prevail. Oh, no. I know. I'm sorry, Janae. I'm sorry. This one is hard for me too. But Leticia is definitely going on trial. She is in the middle of jury selection now. The first day was today. Okay. So it's been quite a run. It's been 3 years since 11-year-old Gannon was reported missing from his family home, a day when he actually stayed home from school because he wasn't feeling well. This was in Colorado Springs, well, a neighborhood just east of it called Lorson Ranch. Okay. Um, his stepmother, Leticia Stauch, is on trial for first-degree murder. The first stage of that trial was today in jury selection. It's supposed to last up to 2 weeks, jury selection. They're having some difficulty because, number one, it's a child that is represented. They're going to start evidence presentation probably no later than April 3rd. And they actually anticipate it to be 6 weeks or longer. One of the problems in getting the jury, which is why they're taking up to 2 weeks to do it, is the biggest obstacle is going to be jurors who are all claiming hardship for being involved in such a long case. And with his experience, he has concerns about the nature of the case and the age of the victim. They are screening everyone as best as they can to try to get a very impartial jury to give no stance to anything as far as biased or anything like that. Pretrial publicity has been considered like all over the place on this one. She's not very well liked, okay, and she's not made herself liked amongst many. Okay, they don't expect to find people who have never heard about the case. That's not going to be one of the issues. It's not going to be a matter of whether you know her name or you know what it's about. It's going to be your opinions on it and whether or not you can be fair about it. Okay. Um, Today, 75 potential jurors showed up to court. Many of them told the judge they had conflicts like work, school, health, and other things, and most of them were excused. Okay. Others said they had strong feelings about crimes involving children. It's going to be very difficult to see the jury on this one. Um, by halfway through the day, more than half of the jurors were gone, dismissed. Okay. Not selected. Okay. They were given 2 minutes to present their case against Stauch to the remaining potential jurors. The DA in the case, Michael Allen, gave a timeline of the events. Okay. And then the defense for Stauch spoke afterwards, saying that you will not hear any type of reasonable explanation why Leticia Stauch should have done this. Okay. That she was a loving stepmom and that her mental health was unraveling. Uh, yes, they're going to go the mental health route with Leticia Stauch. Yep. Even though she took that body across state lines and hid it, even though she actually covered up the crime quite well, even though she could actually advocate for herself and tried to get almost all of the evidence. She tried to claim that they couldn't use her personal phone because it was a new phone. And she didn't have it long enough or something like that. She tried to get the actual audio and video tapes from inside the house on the ADT, the what do you call it? Surveillance software, like that protects your home. She tried to get all that removed, because it was incriminating, of course. Statements to her own daughter, text messages back and forth, in regards to asking for help to take care of something, and things like this. All this is going to come out in the trial. I'll let you look at all that evidence at that time when it actually gets presented. I don't want to jade anybody one way or the other. But this is a terrible, terrible case. They do hope that Judge Warner, who is the judge in this case, does hope that he will have the jury selection done and that they'll be able to try everything starting with opening statements on April 3rd, and the presentation of evidence will begin. Um, they're going to keep going through it every day until they reach a group of about 110 people, and then they'll bring the first 75 back, and hopefully between the district attorney and the defense, 12 qualified jurors will be selected along with 6 alternatives. Um, they don't expect to be finished this trial until mid to late May. Um, here's the thing: media coverage of this is going to be very limited. However, there's a webinar that you can sign up for and try to get a seat in and listen. um you're not allowed to put it out or print. The Judge Gregory Warner allowed only one member of the print media and one from electronic media in the courtroom during jury selection. As of right now, no cameras will be allowed in the courtroom to cover the actual trial process, but I'm going to give you a link, okay, that was provided in one of the articles below. I hope it's not too long that you'll be able to grab it. If Oh, it's too long. It's not gonna post. Oh wait, it did. There you go. It did. Yeah, fooled me. Okay. There's an app called WebEx that you have to actually download to be able to do this. But if you're interested in this, I had chosen not to air this trial because it involves a child and because I'm disgusted with Leticia Stauch. And I think I give her enough time just covering it because I want justice for Gannon. And I also want to see it fairly played out. The way that she has tried to manipulate the system already by her letters to the judges. She filed a lawsuit about how she was treated, about her food not being the way she wanted. She tried, um, mm, it did get thrown out. But her ridiculousness in the way that she has pandered for attention and anything she can to just get out of this, I don't want to actually cover it every day. I will do updates on it as it progresses because I think we should follow it to the end. I want justice for Gannon, and I want to see that she was fairly treated and tried justly with the evidence as necessary with our court system, the way it works. And I hope it works. And Gannon and his family get justice. That's what I want. But I'm not going to be the one streaming it now. Okay. Yep. So basically, for her, with all of this going on, I mean, the one thing that, well, it surprises me but doesn't surprise me is that she's actually going for the mentally unwell defense. I can't. I just don't. I just don't see how it's going to be. Because during the initial interview with the detectives, Leticia had claimed that she had been assaulted and kidnapped and attacked, physically sexually assaulted by some Hispanic male, and they had kidnapped Gannon and all of this other stuff. But according to she refused to undergo any medical examination to prove any of it. She just wanted her words to be taken. She refused to provide any further description of the attacker except for to say he was Hispanic. Okay, she provided different versions of the events. And all of that was detailed in the arrest affidavit. And it's just an obvious circle jerk period of what she was doing in delaying. It took weeks before they finally discovered him. Yeah. And she's also arrested not only on the murder but child abuse and crimes of violence before his body was even recovered. Okay. um they believe he was shot, stabbed, and beaten in his bedroom on January 27th, 2020. Forensic evidence does find bloodstains on the mattress, carpet, baseboards, and electrical socket near the little boy's bed. There's plenty of DNA here. Um, they found, they say that their claim, okay, the officers and investigators, and in the affidavit, they are claiming that she loaded the body into her Volkswagen, and she parked the car at the Colorado Springs airport, and then she rented another vehicle and picked up the father as he went on to his military service. They had actually covered quite a bit of area, all the highways in the area of Douglas County, and that they did recover some bloody wood and things like that. In different areas that they searched. There was more than one area where they found evidence. Okay. The arrest affidavit states that investigators believe that Gannon's body was originally dumped at that location where the bloody wood was, and then it was picked up again and then moved to another area. Um, they were Gannon was eventually found on March 17th inside a suitcase dumped under a bridge near in Florida. Investigators believe the stepmother dumped the body there during a trip that she made to South Carolina. Okay. She has been in court many times for these hearings, and her mental competency has come up. Okay. Whether she should represent herself in court, which she tried many times, and accusations of her mistreatment, which she has laid out there and tried to put suit on. She's pled not guilty by reason of insanity in this criminal case. Okay. Ugh. Listen, the arrest affidavit in the case was limited some of the information during the pretrial hearing, so we don't even hear all of it. But we do know of the filings where she tried to keep out all of the cell phone data. She tried to keep out, like I said, all of the surveillance video and everything from her home. Okay. Uh, everything. She's claimed she's been terribly mistreated in jail, like I said, including the food. Okay. And she tried to sue the medical service provider and the food service providers. Um, and, and she's filing suit for her First and Eighth Amendment rights that were violated in jail. Um, this one turns my stomach. She's quite entitled. I'll tell you that. Um, it's not one that I take any great pleasure in covering, but like I said, I want to see justice for lovely Gannon, and for his family, his father, who married this crazy woman. You know, there was reports in the beginning that she was neighbors and friends of hers had actually testified and gave statements to the investigators that Leticia in the beginning was complaining that the her husband was spending too much time with his children, that he cared about them too much, that he cared about his children too much. What kind of a statement is that? How do you care about your children too much? A jealous, entitled woman would say that. I don't know. But then again, she could be misquoted. Who knows? I'm going to try to give her a fair shake here, but no, I don't think so. We'll see how the trial goes out. I'm just hoping, as should all of us, that they can find enough jurors that can give the system the due and respect that it requires to actually have justice be served here for Gannon. And so that Leticia Stauch doesn't get to call foul or mistrial or any of that. I want her to have proper representation. I want the evidence all laid out in court adequately for everyone to see. And here we go. I don't even think that she's going to get insanity. I think she's using it as mental health as to why she messed up the investigation. Well, we'll see. This is one I want to hear a little bit about, but I want to hear about it after. I don't really want to watch it. But for you guys, if you're interested, that webinar link should be working when the webinars are activated. I believe the webinars are activated for the jury selection process. So if you want to test it out before the trial starts, just use that link to at least get to the WebEx and to find more information on it. But that's what I have for you now on her. Is there any questions in regards to Leticia? Eh, I hear you, CF Beauty. It's not I do not like cases with children. I do not. I don't. I hear you. Um, and Wrecker, Even if she gets the insanity plea, she's going to get even worse treatment. I know she's already pissed off the whole system. Can you imagine? I don't know if she's doing it on purpose or if she's just like that. Oh, I don't know. Yes, the suitcase. They treat the Sean. Apparently, she took the bodies to several places. She had it in her car, left her car at the airport, rented a car to take her husband to his service because he had to travel to go and do his military service, and then went back, and then even had him in a suitcase to get rid of the body while on a trip someplace else. Just dropped it off in Florida under an underpass, a bridge. Exactly, Mrs. Cassandra. How do you do this when she was sane enough to actually get rid of the evidence and to interfere with the investigation all along? Jin, I agree with you. There's no such thing as the insanely stupid defense, not here in America. Although if there was, I know quite a few people would be using it. Mm. The thing is, everything which was on him and around him got encapsulated inside that suitcase, so they will be able to see everywhere she had him. Exactly. And that's why they've also got her on charges of mishandling the corpse. Yep. Yeah. She had to have her wits about her. Yeah. It is definitely Janae, I agree. Just evil. Yeah, Beck. There were statements that were made. People did quote her on being a very jealous, entitled person in regards to her relations with Gannon's dad. You know, but Gannon's dad, for all purposes, was a doting father rather. I feel for him. I feel for him. I really do, and I want him to get justice too. Yeah, yeah. The father was not home. He was at work or he was in surgery. He was not there. She had to stay home to watch Gannon because Gannon didn't feel good that day. And apparently the story goes that she had plans and they were disrupted by Gannon having a stomach ache and staying home from school. Mm. Definitely not my favorite person. So on that, let's go to one of my other not so favorite people, but this one, mm, I don't really have much to say about this one, and it's good because I only have a couple more minutes for you. So let's just let us remove Leticia if you don't have any more questions. Okay. Yes, I remember that statement. Let me just pull this up. Yeah, she was very contrary in her interviews. She was acting weird. And then that very first one that the evening before, Gannon had knocked over a lit candle and burned a portion of the rug. That's how this all happened, and that's why there was all this stuff. Yeah, Sean, I can imagine the curse words again. Hello, Liam. Nice to see you here. Exactly, Liam. Everyone is. It's just when I see the young faces, not I mean they all require justice. Don't get me wrong. It's all wrong. Absolutely. But these they affect me. I can't help it. It just on a different level. And I do agree to you though. Every murdered person deserves justice. Every murdered person was someone's child, someone's family member, someone's loved one, someone's friend, someone's associate. They have people that require justice and need the ends of the stories. They need to know what happened. They need to know justice was served. I agree. I know. I know. Can you imagine if there was a mental diagnosis for pure evil? Mm, I don't know. I don't know. She does not have a mental diagnosis, Sean. She's passed all of her competencies because she did want to defend herself, remember? She was writing to the judge and let's also not forget that while Leticia was under arrest, she got out of her handcuffs and beat up an officer. Okay. Leticia, she's not making friends in there. Okay. She not only beat up an officer and had a wild accusation, she tried to escape. She is suing the penitentiary system for their food and their medical care. She is writing letters to the judge about being mistreated and about him not paying enough attention to her because, like, she is the best one to represent herself and he should allow her to speak with him privately on why she shouldn't go to trial. I kid you not. I kid you not. When I say this one's all hella out there, this one's all hella out there. I don't know how she got out of those cuffs, but she did. But yep, and she's got another battery charge on her against an officer because of it. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it, and so are all of you. That's why I do this, so you can say so too. Yeah, she won it. Wait a minute. That's so confusing to me always. I thought that she was complaining about her law library privileges. She actually asked for them to be revoked while trying to represent herself? Why? That doesn't Did she have a reason? Like, check your notes. That I missed that absurdity for sure. Oh my god. Eh. Ugh. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. Hey, Skits Crasher. Yeah. And everyone who came in that I might miss saying hello to you individually. When I'm doing so many like this, I'm not paying as much attention to the chat. I do keep going back to look for questions. But I do appreciate that all of you are here. Oh, I see. I think it was trying to get them to think that she's insane or that they were holding her back, you know? Oh, yeah, obviously. Hey, Liz. Oh, yeah. So she could plead insanity. Oh, yeah, I couldn't defend myself because I didn't have access to the library. And and by the way, I'm just crazy because I'm the one that got that revoked. That's not, that does appear nuts. But I think it's like crafty nuts, like manipulative nuts. And I hope that everybody is going to see through it. Mm, I don't know. All right. Okay. She's trying to prove how smart she is, Aunt Chair, that she didn't need the library. That's right. She's a genius. Okay. She's the oh God. Yeah, that one. Oh, she really gets me. All right. Last case of the night. Okay. And it's a brief update. It's not going to be much here on this one. For Daniel Masterson, y'all know we were covering this. There are no court cameras. There weren't in the first one. I doubt there'll be in this one either. Oh, that's just the way it goes. The LA court, they're going to protect the victims. Daniel Masterson is up on 3 charges of rape, and it is a case that involves, not only did it involve statute of limitations, but it also has this very gray area of consent because some of the attacks started while sleeping or unconscious. But anyway, Daniel Masterson is coming back on trial. Okay. It was supposed to start next week on March 26th, but it was moved a while ago. Judge Almeida rescheduled it for April 11th. Well, that's on the agenda coming up. So the reason I'm talking about it is to give you all a heads up that there will be coverage once or twice a week, depending on how lit everything goes. I won't cover the jury selection, of course. Like, they've just got to do that. That's kind of boring. I'll tell you when we start and what happens. But again, Tony Ortega, it, I do believe will probably be in the courtroom again unless Scientology and Danny Masterson are successful in keeping him out. And believe me, they're trying. They're trying to keep the media out of there. They did not like the reporting that was going on. They did not like that anybody was talking about it out here. Danny Masterson felt that it was prejudicial to his case, and that is where his defense team is going to stick with that. Okay. The defense team petitioned Judge Almeida to say that the trial shouldn't even go forward because not only were the witnesses not credible, but that it was a prejudicial case, that he was already slandered enough, and then it should go because it's a mistrial no matter what. I definitely agree with that, and neither did Judge Almeida. She said there's definitely enough evidence. You can come up and fight it. They've got substantiating statements that collaborate each other. They do have other witnesses that collaborate what they're saying in aspects, so it can be proved to be somewhat credible, and that it will be up to the defense attorneys again to determine to the jury that the witnesses should not be believed. And I agree with her. They are really, really, Scientology has really been revving up against almost all of the famous people that are against Scientology, especially Leah Remini later. They're attacking her over the Paul Haggis case. And, you know, um, it's mm, just the way they do it is quite distasteful. But I guess they're worried. I guess they're worried. They're trying to keep voices down. Leah Remini was out here speaking quite loudly in regards to the Masterson case. Okay. And I guess they want people to be quiet, but we're not going to be. We'll be giving you the information as it comes out, let you see where it goes. I'm interested to see how the prosecution is going to lay the case out this time. We still have all three of the claimants are coming forward with testimony. Remember, they allowed a fourth one to come forward during the last trial. All this evidence will probably be re-entered again, and plus more. Remember that the defense actually didn't bring forward any witnesses. They had people on the list. They just didn't bring them forward. And we'll see. We'll see what happens this time around. But they tried to keep it from going back forward to trial. They tried to get it overturned. They tried to convince prosecution there wasn't enough there. But the prosecution brought the three of them here together at once like this because this is the only way they could actually bring these charges forward. Danny Masterson has been under investigation several times for these. Okay. And they were not able to because of the legal requirements of the statute of limitations, and also because none of the women came forward with statements in time to the authorities for anything actually to be done. And Scientology was the reason, and that did get entered. And although the defense doesn't like that, they don't want Danny Masterson referred to as a Scientologist, although he is actively still a Scientologist and a big member of the church. And so is his family, and his wife, and parts of her family, and all his friends. And so I think that's fair. That is who he is. You know, they also only wanted us to call him Danny because it was friendlier. But Josh Almeida said, I kind of rather you refer to him as Mr. Masterson. Thank you. I was glad she said that. And she did let Scientology be mentioned, but only in reference to how the women were kept from coming forward, how they were pressured in their beliefs, in the rules of Scientology, and the way that they handled things into not coming forward sooner, because that was the statute of limitations spot. And that they also had problems because of the assault in actually the teachings of Scientology saying it couldn't be because they were in a relationship with Danny Masterson and because of the hierarchy that exists there with Danny Masterson. Well, all convoluted, all definitely interesting as to why I was covering it. I'm not covering it because it's assault. I was covering it because of the statute of limitations. And I also have a great interest in how the legal system is treating the black, the white, and the gray areas of consent. And we all have the popular notion that no means no. But legally, there's a sticky problem in regards to when it's a relationship, when it's marital, when it happens in the marital bed and you're sleeping, or when it happens during an unconscious state. No means no. Okay. When it happens where a consensual act turns into something you did not want, there's a line. Okay. And legally, these things are not addressed. And that's why I'm following it to see what happens and how we're going to address it. They did bring it up. They did bring it up about the sleeping. And there are studies, okay, that say that a lot of assaults from people, from when you know you're assailing, it's more common that it happens during that the act turns into something you did not actually anticipate, or it changed in some manner, and or the act was started with a partner you knew while you were unconscious or asleep, which, you know, is consent like from day one? I did it once, so I have to do it forever? No. So therefore, like unconscious consent doesn't exist, and neither does sleeping consent. And yeah, I did it yesterday, but sorry, I firmly stand on the belief that I should actually have to get consent again to do it again the next day. I don't think consent is an unending contract. It's not ever binding. I think it's a right then and there kind of thing. It should be readdressed. And how you readdress it as grown-ups is up to you. But it needs to be addressed constantly. You know what, Tony? I ask myself this all the time. I'm gonna take this mug off if you'll give me but yeah. I wonder if L. Ron Hubbard is actually laughing in his grave at the people who believe his worst science fiction story is the real truth about the universe, the earth, and the people who inhabit it. I thought that from the beginning because when I saw that book, I really did. I said, he's a science fiction writer. Like, this is great, right? He's just writing about a religion. Like, wouldn't this be cool? But nope. There you go. He actually did a whole religion on it, a whole cult, a damaging cult. I don't know anybody that's been associated with it that's out that has anything decent to say about it at all. They didn't grow. They were wounded while there. It's horrible. You'll hear me talk about that one a lot. Mhm. Everyone should look up the Fry's model of consent. It's very thorough. The law should adopt it. I agree. And actually, I'm going to look up something on it and post it to the back of this video for everyone who's interested. Thank you for reminding me and share again, because I agree with you. We really should oh, check these kind of things out. It can only help, right? No process is going to be perfect, but it can only help. And communication, well, communication, that's the key part there, constant communication. Is today the first day of spring? I don't know. I know it was just St. Patty's Day. I know that, but I'm not sure. Um, if there aren't any more questions, I'll just do a channel announcement here that this week, keep your eyes open, we will be premiering our very first episode of a new podcast style series, Culture Conversations. It will appear as a premiere here on YouTube at the end of the week, and also it will go up on a podcast platform as an audio. Uh, and I'll be giving you all the details at the end of the week. Also, tomorrow, we're going to be doing an MID asshole. We haven't done one in quite some time. I keep getting requests. I will be with Purple, Rhymes with Orange, and I've been trying to schedule with them to do this MID asshole for quite some time, so I'm very pleased. And that will be at 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Okay. Um, mm. But on that, I don't really have any other channel news. Let me just take a couple more questions. Tony says, the story goes that Hubbard and Heinlein were having a conversation about how religions started and decided to write their own, or had a bet to see who could start one first. Well, well, there you go. That is scary. Yeah. Thank you, Aunt Chair. I appreciate it. Okay. The Lori Vallow trial date, I believe, is in April also. It was scheduled for, I think, the second week, Liz, of April. I will double check that for you though. But I do believe I actually listed it in my last video on Vallow, which was last month, not last Monday, but the Monday before. And that's in the playlist. Um, I want to say it's the 10th or the 11th, but I'm not sure. But there was some speculation because of the new DNA evidence on whether or not they would have time to go over that and whether it would be fair. But she has not released her right to a speedy trial, which is why they're holding her to it. But with the new DNA evidence, I think that was up for question on whether or not she was going to say, okay, I need more time. I do know that the cases are severed and that Chad Daybell will have his trial probably 6 months or so from now. It's going to be a while. No. Yeah. All right. I think on that, I want you all to have a great night. Thank you always. I'm really looking forward to seeing what everybody thinks about it. To me, we all talk about cults a lot, but for me, this is a little bit different way to talk about it. And I'm hoping you're gonna like it. It's a little different for me. Well, I'll be putting more on it and let you know. Just watch for the community tab. I'll have it up there shortly. So if you haven't subscribed, do so and hit that bell so you get notifications. You know, the bear really does like a little bit of attention. So if you haven't already, would you mind going down there and hitting that like button, please? And let YouTube know that, I am out here a little bit, just a little bit. Okay. And I'm doing these YouTubey things. So please like, share, comment. You got something you want to ask me? You got something you want me to look at? Please hit the back of the comments on the videos. It does help. And if you know anybody that might be interested in any of this or has something they want to talk about, shout out the channel, give them a link, send them our way. You know how my DMs are open. And I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of the week with y'all. I hope to see you tomorrow night because MID asshole, that's always a great conversation. So on that, I'm going to say good night. Y'all have a good one.